The average person makes around 35,000 decisions a day. Now, that huge number may sound too big to be true, but we're constantly making decisions of all sizes, from the moment we choose to get out of bed, the clothes we wear, the route we take to school, and more. We might decide to speak to people or choose not to. We're choosing what to eat, where to walk, how to spend our time. These decisions all add up, and it's no wonder that when the time comes where we need to make a big decision, we freeze. Decision paralysis, sometimes known as analysis paralysis, is the state of indecision that we experience when faced with multiple options that we struggle to compare. The stress of trying to select the right choice can lead to heightened stress, feelings of being overwhelmed, wasted time, loss of motivation, and even self-loathing. In this video, we'll be diving deep into how to identify decision paralysis, the science behind the causes of it, what makes us more susceptible to decision paralysis, and advice on how to be a more confident and assured decision maker. Let's get into it. First, how to identify decision paralysis. The most obvious way to tell if you're suffering from decision paralysis is if you deliberate over a decision for a long time. This can often involve sleepless nights, increased levels of anxiety, overthinking, and in extreme cases, some people can even isolate themselves from friends and family. Imagine you're deciding on where to eat with your friends for dinner. A relatively low-stakes decision, but a notoriously difficult one. Lots of factors can be considered in this decision. What you want to eat, how busy the place will be, how many people will be eating, how you're getting there. It's incredibly easy to overthink this decision and take everything into consideration. This can lead to flip-flopping. Going back and forth between options means there isn't a clear and final decision being made. Or it can lead to getting someone else to choose, actively avoiding the decision and effectively letting decision paralysis win. Decision paralysis can make any decision a battle. It can cause unnecessary stress and leave your life feeling less secure. To get out of the rut of decision paralysis, we need to understand it. The science behind decision paralysis. Have you ever wanted someone to make the decision for you? Let someone else take the responsibility instead? Well, when asked, 70% of business leaders said they would prefer robots to make decisions for them. That's the majority of leaders and managers in business wanting to have less responsibility over decisions. But why? One theory backed by researchers in neuroscience is the science of loss aversion. When making a decision, we use logic to weigh out the pros and cons. Making this list helps to structure how we feel about a choice. However, scientists have found that the cons on this list are worth more to us than the pros are. The cons or disadvantages of a decision trigger the fear response in our brain, a location known as the amygdala. The fear response is not based on reality, but instead on an exaggerated prediction of the worst-case scenario. This is often a scenario that isn't grounded in fact, but completely made up. The reward or advantage is a much smaller response. The reward center of the brain releases dopamine, but only when the reward has been experienced. This is very different to the way we experience the disadvantages, as often we can feel fear or loss from a wrong decision even before we've decided. This, which means that it's very easy to get caught up in the potential negative effects of a decision, causing you to delay making the choice. This bias is left over from more dangerous times in history, such as times of survival or war. It means that fear can run our decision-making to keep us safe. But in our modern world, this fear causes us to enter into decision paralysis. Another reason we can be slow to make decisions or even make unreliable decisions is due to decision fatigue or cognitive exhaustion. Decision fatigue happens when we've made several big decisions in a short amount of time and our decision-making process becomes less reliable. In fact, in 2011, researchers shadowed judges in the Court of Justice making decisions on the sentence length and parole of prisoners. They found that the time of day that the judges were making decisions affected the outcome of the decision they made. In the morning, the judges were more likely to make the decision to release or give a prisoner parole, whereas in the afternoon, they were less likely to choose to release or give parole. This was because of cognitive exhaustion. By the time the afternoon rolled around, many high-stake decisions had already been made, and the judges were suffering from decision fatigue. As a result, they erred on the side of caution for their decisions, meaning prisoners were less likely to receive parole. But what can this teach us? Decision fatigue and cognitive exhaustion are big factors when making decisions. To make sure your mind is working at its best, try ensuring that you're making all your big decisions in the morning and leaving the less important smaller decisions to the afternoon. Fear and decision fatigue are not the only factors to be considered in decision paralysis either. The complexity of the decision matters too. If a decision is complicated, it can take us longer to make it. Imagine walking into an ice cream shop. They have 50 flavors to choose from, as well as 15 different toppings that you can mix and match. At first, the choice to have whatever flavor you want is exciting. The customization of the ice cream makes it new and interesting. However, with so much choice comes the difficult decision of choosing between the flavors, and it can end up taking you twice as long, if not longer, than it would if the ice cream shop only had vanilla in stock. It's worth assessing whether this complicated decision would be worth the time and energy you spend on it. Another well-known example of complicated choices and decision fatigue is the way former CEO of Apple, Steve Jobs, would choose to dress himself for each day. Instead of dedicating one of the first decisions of the day to what clothes he'd wear, Jobs took the complication out of the daily task by wearing only black turtlenecks and jeans to work. This meant that instead of using his cognitive energy on making the decision of what to wear, he would save this to help him make important business decisions as the CEO of one of the biggest tech companies in the world. Now that we've explored what causes decision paralysis, let's look into how to prevent it and become a more confident decision maker. How to avoid decision paralysis. Number 1, be confident. Being a more confident decision maker actually makes you more efficient. It eliminates procrastination and allows you to fully commit to a decision. In fact, a confident bad decision is often better than a decision that you may think is good, but you spent hours or even days deliberating over. Often, your confidence in a decision will make the decision the right one, because even if life ends up not going as planned, you have the ability to change and adapt to a situation with confidence and ease. With this confidence, you can handle any problem that may crop up. Number 2, practice emotional regulation. When we struggle to make decisions, it can be because we're feeling general stress, fear, or anxiety in our day-to-day lives. This stress can cause you to overthink your decision and makes you more likely to experience decision paralysis. There are a whole host of things you can do to regulate your emotions and stress. Some of them include slowing down, spending more time in nature, getting enough sleep, or practicing breathing techniques to slow down your heart rate and get out of your head. Stress and anxiety can be really damaging for us in many different ways. For a closer look at how you can regulate your emotions and reduce stress and anxiety, try watching our video on how to manage stress after you finish this one. Number 3, simplify. As we know, too many complicated decisions can cause decision fatigue, so we need to simplify. Try reducing the amount of decisions you're making in a day, or simply plan your decision-making to be in the morning rather than the afternoon. That way you'll be setting yourself up for an easier choice. Number 4, if all else fails, trust your gut instinct. There's a lot to be said for our initial reaction and gut instinct about a decision. Very rarely does our gut instinct let us down, and if a decision feels wrong to you, listen to that feeling. And there we have it. An in-depth breakdown of decision paralysis, the causes and reasons why we might struggle with making a decision, as well as practical tips that can help you to simplify any decision that comes your way. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.